Hey, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another reading. I've got a little bit of an itchy nose today. I think they say that's a sign that someone's talking about you. So yeah, sorry if my nose is kind of sniffling all over the place today. This is going to be a reading on past. These kind of swells reminded me a little bit of ghosts or spirits. So yeah, the reading today is going to be about kind of the past. Don't ask me how that's related, but the word that was coming through was past. I'm going to give you guys a little introduction. It's a little bit off topic, but who knows, it might thread into the reading. Um, we're living in an age at the moment where most things, or let's just say most information, is found on the internet now. I'm still a fan of books myself, quite proud of my book collection, in fact. But, even for me who likes reading books, I've got to admit that the age of information is like without a doubt on the internet. And I guess this is kind of linking to past because I'm sharing just a past mindset that I used to have, which was in the past, especially when I was much younger, I used to listen to information. And if that person was someone who I respected, possibly even idolized, I would take pretty much all the information as kind of fact almost. It's almost quite embarrassing to admit. Now, don't get me wrong, like if I heard something that was clearly incorrect, I wouldn't take that information in. But if I didn't have enough information on it myself, I would probably take that information in as fact, and I'm kind of just bringing that to everyone's attention because actually, before I go into what I was going to go into, I was just going to say that, okay, so when I'm working at the moment as an architect, I have a lot of my clients, not all of my clients, they come from like very wealthy backgrounds. And one of the things that I noticed when I'm giving service to these clients is that sometimes they talk on something and what they're saying is completely wrong. And I guess this is inspiring my little introduction today because I'm reminded of my past. And the past me would have thought, okay, this person's extremely wealthy. They must understand everything. They must know what they're talking about. And the Z who's sitting before you today has a completely different understanding of that now, Like when someone's wealthy or rich doesn't mean that they know everything. And it's like, it's as simple as this. It's like, I'm speaking English to you now, right? And someone from a completely different background might come up to you and say, oh, in English, they say bonjour to greet people. Now, obviously, if you're English or an English speaker, that's French. And there's a part of your brain which instantly knows that it's wrong, right? And that's what I'm saying is the same for some of these clients, is that especially when they start talking on architecture, they might have done certain projects in a certain way, but they've added 1 + 1 and come up with 764, It's just wrong, and one of the things that I want people to take away from this video is I'm also wrong sometimes in certain things, or at least maybe not even wrong, but my perspective might be different and certain bits of knowledge might be missing. And I just want to remind everyone who's listening is that kind of the first phase of knowledge in many ways is that you listen and you absorb everything. The second wave of knowledge, or the second level of knowledge, is you listen and then you've gained knowledge, so you're able to understand when knowledge is wrong. And then what I'm calling the third wave is what I want you to take away, which is how I see things currently, is that, so the first phase is almost naivety. The second phase is pointing the finger. And then the third phase is when you hear something, understand that you have a value there. So when you hear someone talking and you're like, oh man, that's wrong, instead of just pointing the finger, go, okay, this is where actually I can add value, you know? So that's the third perspective, is so naivety, then pointing the finger, and then I don't know how to call it, but like alchemized value or something like that. It's the ability to see when someone is talking and they've got less knowledge than you, but instead of pointing the finger, you can take action on providing service, providing value. So I just want you to take that away, pile ones and pile twos and pile threes. It's like when you're listening to the next YouTube video, sometimes I'm listening to things and it's like, like I said, the first phase is that I would have maybe listened to it. If it was my favourite musician, I would have maybe just taken everything for gospel. Then I got a little bit older and I was a bit like, what the fuck is going on in this world? Everyone's chatting shit. And then the third wave is, I can actually make this world a better place. I can provide value. I could actually, instead of just pointing the finger or shouting or writing, I can actually, put my little drop into the ocean, and, alchemize that energy. So I hope that made sense for everyone. I'll give you a while to pause on your piles. And yeah, just as I was going to finish, just, next time you are listening to a YouTube video, if it's mine or someone else's, pay attention to that quality, because you might be, spirit might be leading you into producing your own content, producing your own value in the area where you keep seeing flaws in others, And for crying out loud, I stress this a lot, but just pay attention to who you're listening to, because there's so much garbage out there. So pile number ones, pile number twos, and pile number threes. I'll start with pile number ones. This is going to be your past, maybe a past lesson. Okay, pile ones. I'm going to check that we're center. I think we are. My squeaky chair. What do you see? What do you feel? It's funny, I said, let's check that we're centered, and this is very much got a centered vibe. There's something kind of air energy here. Not sure if you're resonating with that pile ones. It reminds me of air energy in terms of elements, possibly astrology. You may be, Aquarius. Gosh, the signs have left me. What else have we got? Gemini. Libra. I think they're the 3 air signs. That was a lot of too much brain power there. I need to sharpen up on my astrology. It's been a while. So yeah, like this almost reminds me of a cloud. This figure, it's very cloud, circulation, a little bit Last of the Airbenders, but it's almost like a cloud god or goddess. I wonder if I don't think I've even heard of that. I know we've got Zeus as thunder and gods of the sky. But this is almost the cloud god. Is there such a thing? Maybe you can Google it for me, Pile Ones, and put it in the comments for people. Like the cloud god. Another thing that's interesting is clouds, they don't really center, do they? Clouds are like always moving in the sky. There could be like I know this doesn't really relate to past, maybe it does, but I'm kind of just getting the metaphor here of clouds are always moving, and this kind of god or goddess is reminding us, so how do the clouds stay centered? It's clouds are always moving. It's a little bit like us, The trick isn't necessarily staying centered while we're still. The trick is staying centered while we're moving, while things are going on around us. Do you understand? It's very much got that energy, like things are going on around this energy, but they're able to stay present. It also reminds me a little bit of like if a cloud was a flame. It reminds me of like, I can't really think of the metaphor or how to explain it, how this energy kind of looks, but when, I'm not sure if you've ever seen this, Pile Number Ones, but when they show like a simulation for like the aerodynamics of something, like usually a car, and what they do is they've got this box, and then they put smoke into the box, and then they put a current or a vacuum, and it shows all the smoke going around the object. That's this energy. So it's like, again, it's how do you stay aerodynamic within this box, within this current? Maybe this is spirit just reminding you how far you've come. Maybe you are aerodynamic now. Maybe your past is just, spirit is reflecting the fact that your past has brought you to this place where you are, where you're kind of this refined being, this god or goddess of the clouds. It's almost like you've been perfectly shaped now. So I fuck with that. Pile Number Ones, I think that's your reading. Quite a quick one, but I feel that's your reading. You have been shaped in order to withstand. It's not necessarily even chaos. It's just movement. There's something to do with movement here, like, because what I haven't drawn is cars and houses being flung around in this tornado, objects, trust me, if spirit wanted me to draw that, I would draw it. I don't think it's symbolizing that. I think it's more symbolizing almost the movement. So Pile Number Ones, you might be kind of those free spirits as well who move around a lot. Possibly it might be referencing that, like physical movement. But yeah, it's not necessarily the harshness of like physical chaos. But it could be for some of you, but it's not really coming with that energy. It's more to do with like the movement, or possibly even just moving energies opposed to moving like the way that I can just to end, the way that spirit is trying to give me this is like, it's not hazards. I don't know what that means, but we're not talking about hazards here. We're talking about like even motion, so it could be even emotions and stuff like that. It's things that we maybe don't necessarily physically see, but you've definitely been having to manage it, So pile number ones. If you enjoyed the video, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com. And yeah, thank you for being here. Take care. Okay, pile number two's past. Okay, pile number two, so I'll probably say this is touching more on the feminine energy. It's not gender specific. Similar message to pile number one's actually, kind of to do with centering. I feel like this is a different vibe though. If I was to explain this in a metaphor, it would be like, imagine a hole, and imagine having a torch, and so the pen being the torch and the hole, and it's like maybe your past has been shining the torch in all these different areas. Sorry, I can't do two things at once. And then you kind of just got the glimpse of it being here. And through that, boom, you're able to see who you are. But you had to position the torch on the right place. And in doing so, it's almost very much like the star energy. So you might relate here, pile number twos to Aquarius energy. It's kind of got a little bit of a fiery energy to it, but the colours aren't really red. Red is coming through a little bit, but the colours I'm feeling from this are probably more on the feminine side. But it's kind of got this star quality. And to kind of put a little bit more description behind that metaphor, it's like when the torch hit the right spot, it's like what's behind this hole is obviously you, but like you're this it's almost like you're a disco ball, and as soon as that light hits that disco ball, it almost explodes, not in a bad way. But it's almost like what Spirit has given me as well. Yeah, it's like definitely the word is explodes, but it's just not in a negative way. I know someone could hear that and think, okay, cool, it's a wrap then. As soon as I figure out who I am, it's a wrap. It's game over. Could be. Part twos. Don't fear death, y'all. It's all just a game. It's all an illusion anyway. But there's an energy here, like Spirit was giving me, and it reminds me of Aquarius again, because it was giving me the scientist energy, and it reminds me of, when you have certain solutions or whatever, or substances, whatever is in one tube, and then you put that liquid nitrogen into it or whatever it might be, and just, explodes on you. It's almost that energy. But like I said, if you can remove negativity from that, it's more the feeling that I'm trying to explain to you. That's what this reading gives me. So, like I said, the torch over the right spot, and it's like literally like some form of like light explosion happens when you put the light over that peephole at the right moment or the right position. So yeah, like pile number 2's, I feel like your past, this is maybe a message as confirmation, just reminding you that maybe the time wasn't wasted of shining the torch in the right area. I think when we look back as souls into these lives that we've lived, I think we can kind of make more sense of all the times where we were shining the torch in the wrong place. I think pretty much every soul can recognize that without those kind of blank moments, the shining on the beautiful thing just wouldn't be the same. And I guess just to ground that, it's almost the lesson of the seasons. Without them cold winters, it's harder to appreciate the sun. I'm almost reminded of, on those sunny days, when the light just comes into a space. Just maybe the architect in me, but at least for me, there's something really beautiful when the sun comes into a room or a space in a certain way. And even when it's like moving a little bit, like when it's flickering, because it's like it's picked up on some water, or like a moving bit of nature, like a tree or something. It's making the branches move, and that's casting reflections on the way that the light's coming in. There's something really beautiful about that. Almost like just these happy accidents. In many ways, that's kind of what life is, these little happy accidents. We're trying to kind of figure it out. So, pile number 2's beautiful reading. Thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed the video, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Pile 3's, I was just checking we're in camera. Hands behind the back energy. Could be touching on military here, or we could be touching on serving here. Like a waiter. Reminds me of who's Batman's waiter, butler. Alfred. Name could be Alfred, or a name that kind of vibrates similar to that. Alfred, Alice, Alex, Anna, Annabelle. Alicia. Could be Fred, Alfred. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it coming through. There was a few names that were coming, but they weren't really vibrating in the same way. So, pile number 3 is, this is linked to your past. There's something about this character which, it's definitely touching more on the masculine energy. These aren't gender specific, but spade a spade. This is touching on the masculine energy. This person to me seems very strong. Very broad shoulders, strong. I feel like maybe your past, there's an energy here which is, your past is maybe reflecting how you've been of service, because funnily enough, I talked about, at the start, I said almost like army or soldier type energy. When you think about it, the soldier and the butler do actually share a frequency. Now, without a doubt, one is more seen as more aggressive or more protective, but they have both an underlining understanding of hierarchy, and they have a clear understanding of service and duty. You don't walk up to the butler and say, let's just keep to Alfred, could you make sure that the gardener does the hedges correctly, for example? Going into hypotheticals here, like Bruce Wayne, we're hosting a party, an event this evening. Can you make sure that the hedges are rightly cut or whatever? I'd probably be more like, Alfred, mate, can you make sure the fucking gardener does the hedges right, please? Cheers, mate. Thank you. Alfred gets that request very easily, and it's the same as the soldier. Alfred doesn't look at you and go, "Who the fuck are you?" I'm not doing that. Alfred knows his position and his service. It's the same for the soldier. When the commander or whatever, the lieutenant or whoever it might be who's in the leadership position, when they say, "Soldiers, get ready," the soldiers don't just throw their toys out of the pram and say, "No, I'm not going today. I'm tired." Or, "I don't think that you're telling me the right thing." No, they say, "Yes, sir." They get down to business. There's something, part number 3 is where I think you being in service has made you a really trustworthy, disciplined, thorough, and it doesn't matter what gender you are here, but there's something about you which is just kind of strong, really is the word. So I know that can trigger people depending on their genders and stuff, But it could mean physically strong for some of you. You know, you might have been hitting the gym and discipline there. But this is just more in the sense of like, almost like strong-souled as well. You know, I don't mean this in a harsh way, but you know, sometimes you can meet someone and it's like, there's that energy where you're thinking this person doesn't really have a backbone. And I don't want to say that in a harsh way, because if I'm completely honest, whenever I have that feeling, I can automatically understand where, you know, like where that comes from, how that person got that way. And I'll tell you how I know personally, and you might relate to this, pal Freeze. It's because I've had so many times in my life, you know, it's like the Star Wars story of going to the light side and the dark side. Like I've just had so many times in my life where I look back at it and I go, shit, that should have crushed me. That moment should have crushed me, and it didn't. You know, I can only thank God that God gave me the strength, or, you know, just built me the way that I am. Because when I see someone who's without a backbone, it's like they just gave up. When that, you know, like there's been times in my life where the straw broke the camel's back. My back was broke, man, like shit. But I didn't become without a backbone. I built that shit back up. And you know, that's the difference there. And I don't know how people don't have the empathy to see that in others, personally. Like when I see someone in that position, I don't know how people don't have empathy. I don't know what went wrong in their brain or what went right in mine. But when I look at the situations that I've overcome, that puts me in gratitude. That doesn't put me in a space of let's knock down everyone else who didn't overcome. You know? Now don't get me wrong, if someone tries to check me, if someone tries to throw shade on me, I'll definitely tell them about themselves. But there's some people who kind of just point the finger at someone who's down, and I never really got that. Because if you really are about it, if you really have been through shit in life, you kind of know how that feels. That's the crazy thing. It's like, if you're not lying, if you really have been through harsh circumstances, you know how that feels. And you know that laughing at someone or bringing someone down further in that situation is only fucking evil. Do you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, maybe I'm just an old soul. Part number 3 is I feel like you're going on to something bigger and better. Remind yourself to like look in the mirror and admire like this kind of soldier, or you know, I think people degrade the service of a butler. But, you know, like a good butler or a good assistant, the best butler, the best assistant is better than the majority of people, you know. It's like the world's best cleaner is better than the average of everything. The world's best gardener, driver, it's like chauffeur. Is better than your average of the masses, you know. So there's something here where spirit is just reminding you that, you know, that hard work that you've put in, that grind that you've put in, and like that word might not really relate to you if I'm saying grind, because I know people put that towards work. Some more of my feminine energies out there, they might relate more to just that inner work you've put in, even that inner grind you've put in, that spiritual grind. There's something where spirit is just reminding you here that, like, look in the mirror. You've become this worthy soldier, this worthy kind of expert of your craft. And obviously, I might be pushing it a little bit there with expert of your craft. There's probably some 18-year-old listening to this who might get a bit carried away with that. But I just mean, not to say that you can't be an expert at 18, by the way. I just mean that whatever this is relating to, you have become greatness here. So if you're an 18-year-old listening to this, it may not be in your career, but it may be in your emotional intelligence. It may not be in your emotional intelligence, but it may be in your spiritual wisdom. It may not be in your spiritual wisdom, but it may be in a certain hobby or skill. It may not be in a certain skill or a hobby, but it might be in romance. Like, you might be ready for love. You might have gone through so much so early that you kind of have recognized what love looks like to you at 18. It's rare nowadays, but you know, shit does happen. You might be that 1.62%. It's less than that probably at 18. But you know, like, you could be. So Pal Freeze, I hope you enjoyed the reading today. I hope that you was able to extract some wisdom from it. If you enjoyed the reading, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out ifyoupause.com for some of my other videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.